Hello. I have to do this. How do I do it? One, two, three, four. Look into it. What best to the best to the best to the best, the best to 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 the best. Wow. I'm gonna carry this one. Oh, you have to put it in here. Then go like this. Go.
Army returns to opening the vault. Australian Regenerative Medicine Institute. 03 Nov 2022. Army returns to opening the vault with the disruptions caused by COVID-19. It has been a few years since Army's last opening the vault, which invites members of the public for a their scenes look at the institute. Last week marked the return of the event. If there were nerves or dusty science communications skills among Army's cohort of volunteers, you couldn't tell, as Army and The Convergence Science Network welcomed over 40 people to the sold out event. It's critical to maintain a relationship with the general public, explained Institute Director of Research, Professor Peter Curry. With the COVID-19 pandemic, awareness of biomedical research and its impacts on our community's health has never been higher. But so has misinformation. As such, we have to inform people of our research activities and how their contribution, whether through tax and public funding or philanthropy, is helping us achieve our goals of better understanding the human body and how to harness that to improve the lives of patients. The night's Science Curious group ranged from primary school children to retirees in their 70s and were treated to a tour of Army's high-tech facilities while chatting with Army scientists about their research projects. Always a popular stop, a quicker helped visitors understand the importance of animal models, such as zebrafish and salamanders, in studying regeneration and stem cells. Visitors were treated to a walkthrough of the aquarium and the phenotyping laboratory. On show were also Army's powerful imaging capabilities, with a station dedicated to live imaging of the early mouse embryo. Not only did this demonstrate the amazing evolution of imaging technology over recent years, but also how important the tool is in providing spatial context and the need to understand development in 3D. Station 3 took advantage of the heightened public knowledge about the body's immune system, and summarized Army's current work in developing immune-based therapeutic proteins to improve tissue healing. With a clear clinical application, the research resonated strongly with the night's visitors. It was exciting to see young and old at the event. Making science accessible to all is imperative, especially when it comes to inspiring the next generation of researchers, said Convergence Science Network convener Juan Ismail. The Opening the Vault events provide a welcoming and safe environment for people to explore what happens in labs and science facilities across Melbourne. Science communication and public engagement are at the core of the Convergence Science Network ethos, with more events planned for 2023. Thank you to all Army researchers and staff who volunteered their time and shared their passion for science. Juan Ismail from Convergence Science Network and Army's Jane McCausland for organizing the event, and all attendees.
Hell is this? Wait a minute. What the hell is this? What does he just? What he wants to read that like this?
Army Australian Regenerative Medicine Institute. Subscribe to the Army newsletter. Keep up to date all the latest Army news and events. We know your inbox is overflowing, so we promise to only share important news and events with you. We hate spam too. The Australian Regenerative Medicine Institute Army is dedicated to unlocking the regenerative capabilities of the human body. Learn more. Army have a number of programs aimed at introducing potential scientists to this exciting field and to nurture them in a collaborative working environment. Read more, help us discover the future of medicine. Your donation goes toward new equipment, new talent, and new ideas. Research groups. Discover what our researchers are investigating. See all groups. Army Group Leader O/Prof Edwina McGlynn will be one of 4 editors curating this forthcoming collection on cell mo. https://tcos/feb9w1vjc 2 days RT at Labsinker, surrounded exclusively by researchers at a similar career stage, but from all kind of research areas, plus being offered work. 3 days Army Group Leader O/Prof Edwina McGlynn will be one of 4 editors curating this forthcoming collection on Selmo. https://tcos/feb9w1vjc 2 days help us discover the future of medicine. Your donation goes toward new equipment, new talent and new ideas.
Monash University. Monash University. Okay, what about this one? Oops, sorry, how much decay? Packet, whatever. Whatever.
Ellie Warren, family takes fight to Parliament after daughter's death. Mozambique remains unsolved. Video player is loading. Current time 12 am, duration 12 am, remaining time -000, beginning of dialog window. Escape will cancel and close the window. Text color transparency, background color transparency, window color transparency, font size, text edge style, font family, end of dialog window. Current time 12 am, duration 12 am, remaining time -000, family site for answers after daughter's death remains unsolved. Ellie Warren was found dead by fishermen behind a toilet block in the coastal town Toso on November 9, 2016. With no new date set, Warren took to Parliament to demand action. "This is just ridiculous, that it's going on this long," he told 9 News. "There's no question Ellie was murdered and, as I said, the coroner's court knows this. Mozambique autopsy report states, this is a violent death. And it's a homicide." A case management conference was due to take place in March, but it's understood the coroner has asked for more information from the Australian Federal Police. The family is now calling on Attorney General Mark Dracis to step in to investigate the matter and put pressure on Mozambique authorities to cooperate. Ellie's father has long campaigned for an inquest and has spent tens of thousands of dollars of his family's own money looking into the case. "I just feel that I can't let her down," he said. "I have to get this done for her and I am not going to give up."
Wow.
Paul Warren has spent 6 long years trying to uncover the truth about his daughter's death.
Oh, right. Anyway, still killing it. Go here again. Property, product review, news, lifestyle, entertainment, property. Okay. The apartment where buyer auction. Okay, put the headphone, click on the thing, and voila.
Neglected red fern terrace sells for $1.25 million. 9. A terrace in Sydney's red fern with a backyard like a deserted wasteland sold at auction on Saturday for $1.25 million. Listed by Michaels to Mundade and Richard for Frey, White Tumor Group, the 3-bedroom property at 18 Turner Street at a buyer's guide of $1 million. There were 10 registered bidders. Domain's house price report for the September quarter reveals that the median house price for Redfern is $1,735,000. A decrease of 4.9% over the past year. The terrace had been positioned as one of the worst houses in one of Sydney's coolest suburbs. 18 Turner Street, Redfern, Sydney, NSW. Read more. Kim Kardashian's $11.8 million change of heart on California fixer-upper. Agents Toomer and Richards did not sugarcoat the condition of this terrace, overlooking parkland in trendy Redfern. Neglected, says the listing of the property, fans up a floor balcony, but the address, in a vibrant suburb, makes up for it. The backyard, with a hills hoist from the earliest days of modern Australia, is as dry as a bone, with a tree stump and a forlorn pot hanging on the fence. There is not a speck of green to be seen. One of the suburb's tallest terraces, and 10 minutes walk to Redfern train station. It occupies a north-facing 156 square metre block. Read more. Sam Wood reveals how his dream garden came together. The auction result comes as the nation's clearance rate leaps to a 7-month high, indicating the market is growing more balanced as prices continue to decline. October's 61% clearance rate for the combined capital cities was further evidence of an improving, collegiate nature between buyers and sellers, who are increasingly meeting on price expectations and cushioning the clearance rate. The clearance rate has been in recovery mode as the market finds a new harmony in June. Clearance rates around Australia were at their lowest level in 2 years, hovering 53%. However, in October, every capital with the exception of Brisbane at 44.5% recorded a clearance rate of more than 60%. In Sydney, the clearance rate increased for a third consecutive month, hitting 61.2% despite vendor activity dropping hand in glove.
Rugby League World Cup 2022, Australia Kangaroos team versus New Zealand Kiwis semi-final. Kangaroos coach Mal Meninga will start superstar hooker Harry Grant on the bench for Saturday's blockbuster World Cup semi-final clash with New Zealand. Meninga named a 19-player squad on Wednesday evening, but had already confirmed earlier in the week Daly Cherry Evans would not make the final lineup against the Kiwis. Instead, Ben Hunt has been recalled and will start at hooker, and the plan is to switch him out for Grant once the rough and tumble opening stages of the game are over. Redmore World Cup ambassador's horrific slur in interview. Redmore teen who said no to Sauceroos explains huge call. Redmore divisive Wimbledon tradition to be scrapped. I prefer to start, Hunt told media. I hate sitting on the bench, sitting there with nerves and can't contribute, so I'd much rather be out there. Hunt says this semi-final will be like an origin game, and believes the big men in the middle will decide the result. It's for this reason that Reagan Campbell-Gillard has been recalled for Australia to start at prop. The Kiwis boast a formidable forward pack including NRL enforcers Jared Waweria-Hargreaves, Joseph Tapine, and Man Mountain Nelson Azofa Solomona. 2-meter-tall Azofa Solomona is the player who has Hunt on edge. As a small player I always get asked who's the hardest to defend, and Azofa Solomona is always in my top 3, he said. I'm pretty lucky, in this team I've got some good defenders around me. The Aussies used Lindsay Collins, who will not play the semi-final, as an Azofa Solomona fill-in during a training session, and had the Roosters prop running at the playmakers. The Kiwis are yet to name their team. RLWC semi-final Kangaroos vs Kiwis, 6.45 mAd, Saturday Kangaroos squad, 9. Josh Addo-Carr 6. Reagan Campbell-Gillard 13. Pat Kerrigan 2, Daly Cherry Evans 14, Nathan Cleary 16, Ruben Cotter 17, Angus Crichton 18, Tino Faaswimaloe 20, Harry Grant 4, Valentine Holmes 3, Ben Hunt 21, Liam Martin 8, Latrell Mitchell 7, Cameron Munster 11, Cameron Murray VC 1, James Tedesco C5, Jake Bojovic 10, Jack Whiten 24, Isa Yeo VC, predicted team 1, James Tedesco 9, Josh Adokar 8, Latrell Mitchell 10, Jack Whiten 4, Valentine Holmes 7, Cameron Munster 14, Nathan Cleary 6, Reagan Campbell Gillard 3, Ben Hunt 5, Jake Bojovic 17, Angus Crichton 21, Liam Martin 24, Isa Yeo VC, interchange 20, Harry Grant 13, Pat Kerrigan 18, Tino Faaswimaloe 11, Cameron Murray VC for a daily dose of the best of the breaking news and exclusive content from wide world of sports. Subscribe to our newsletter by clicking here. Why Malmeninga's Kangaroos will wear unfamiliar jersey numbers at the 2022 Rugby League World Cup.
Reagan Campbell-Gillard, James Tedesco and Cam Murray spent the first
FIFA World Cup Socceroos Squad 2022 Christian Volpato rejection behind failed power play. Christian Volpato's rejection of Thessosaurus was a result of a power play gone wrong by his agents. That's the view of League Pro Lachlan Wales, who playfully joked about Italy's failure to qualify for the FIFA World Cup when asked about Volpato. WL if he wants to play for Italy, they're not in the World Cup, he told Hedham and Simone podcast. Read more World Cup ambassadors horrific slur in interview. Read more teen who said no to Socceroos explains huge call. Read more divisive Wimbledon tradition to be scrapped. Tell Graham Arnold that I'm happy to go. I'm as Aussie as they come, and I'll give everything for the country. The 18-year-old Volpato, who is eligible to represent both Australia and Italy, knocked back an offer from Socceroos coach Graham Arnold to join the World Cup squad in Qatar. Volpato's decision to turn down the invite resulted in speculation that he had turned his back on his country of birth, which the teen sensation vehemently denied. Wales, who is currently plying his trade for Western United, explained how agents of players with dual nationalities have been known to use the threat of playing for a country instead of Australia in order to rush a Socceroos cap. There's been a few situations like this in the Socceroos lately of players whose agents say go play for Italy or go play for Scotland to try and see if the federation will panic and cap the player, he said. I think it was the power play a few months ago, and then he scored for Roma and Arnold hasn't picked him and he's probably a bit filthy at it. Wales explained how the improved culture of the Socceroos and players having stronger voices had allowed them to take more control of their careers. As Volpato has 6 years ago, when I was 18, I wouldn't say anything because that's just the way football was. You had experienced players who would call you out for that, he said. Now everyone has a voice with the Players Association. It's not so much bullying, but that old-fashioned culture of the older boys being the older boys and the young boys filling up the water bottles. That doesn't happen anymore. He's got a decision to make. Whether he will get picked or won't get picked for Italy, I don't think he even knows that. Listen to the full episode of Lachlan Wales' appearance on the Adam and Simon podcast from 1 a.m. Est on Thursday morning. For a daily dose of the best of the breaking news and exclusive content from wide world of sports, subscribe to our newsletter by clicking here. Australia's 26-player squad for the 2022 FIFA World Cup.
been out of it. I'm gonna go this one. I'm gonna go this one, something like this, motherfucker. Okay, 16, you know, very nice, please.
How to get motivated every day when you wake up. Life hack. It's Monday morning. The alarm goes off. Do you know how to get motivated at that moment? What's the first thought that comes to mind when you open your eyes? Are you excited to get up and go to work, or are you dreading the day and week ahead? Whatever your response may be, ask yourself this question. What is it that makes you feel unmotivated? What's driving you to feel negative or positive about your Monday ahead? If you want to know how to get motivated, keep reading. What is motivation, really? You likely know of people who have been doing the same thing for years and seem to not have any problem staying stagnant. Whether it be in their marriage, job, or personal endeavors, they seem to be getting along just fine without progressing towards anything better. On the other hand, I'm sure you also know of individuals who focus on the positive goal setting and are constantly pushing themselves to greater heights, be it promotions at work, building a family, celebrating marriage milestones, traveling more, or going to school again. These individuals seem to constantly progress towards something that improves or enhances their life. So what's the difference between these two types of individuals? What you feel capable of doing comes down to one thing: motivation. It's the force or lack of that keeps driving you forward to overcome challenges and obstacles to achieve your goals. Without motivation, you'll give up after a few failed attempts, or even on the first tough challenge that comes your way. Or you'll just remain where you are, unhappy yet not doing anything to progress ahead. Whether you realize it or not, motivation is a huge force in your life, and it needs to be harnessed in order to excel and actually enjoy whatever it is that you're doing on a daily basis. If you find yourself thinking, I need motivation, there are specific steps you can take. Unfortunately, many overgeneralize the word motivation. We think of being either motivated or unmotivated as a simple yes or no state of being, but motivation is not a switch. Motivation is a flow. The motivation flow. To feel motivated, you need to dive beyond the surface. Just reading a motivational quote, being encouraged by your friends or mentor, or writing out a short to-do list won't help you build sustainable motivation in the long run. Scroll down to continue reading article. Scroll down to continue reading article. You can think of the motivation that we want to achieve like the sun, self-sustaining and long-lasting, which supplies a constant influx of energy to all life on Earth. Just like the sun, your motivation engine has different layers, starting from the core and spreading out to the surface. The surface is what you see, but the real process is driven from the core, your internal motivation, and that's the most important part. If you can create a self-sustaining motivation engine, you will be able to find more meaning in your life and enjoy every minute of what you're doing, which will make your roles and responsibilities less of a chore. Let me help you understand this motivation flow better by breaking down the motivation engine into three parts: core, purpose, support, enablers, surface, acknowledgement. The outer layer, surface. The outermost layer, also known as acknowledgement, encompasses any type of external recognition that might give you motivation. It may come in the form of respect or recognition, such as compliments and praise. Or it could be emotional support through encouragement, feedback, and constructive criticism. It could also be affiliation, where you have mutual companions or buddies sharing the same goal or burden with you. One recent study pointed out that rewards had a positive impact on work motivation, but no significant relationship existed between reward and job satisfaction. Therefore, it's important to recognize that rewards will motivate you, but they won't necessarily make you happier in an undesirable situation. This is generally what you see on the surface when you look at other people. You see the external acknowledgement, respect, and recognition they're getting. The middle layer, support. In essence, the second layer of the motivation engine, also known as enablers, is what supports your goals. They can magnify the motivation core you have or speed up the momentum that you build. Basically, they create favorable circumstances for things to go smoothly. If you want to know how to find motivation, positive enablers are key. This could include friends and family, or any support network you've created in life. the innermost layer, core. But what's most important, and the true driving force behind your motivation flow, is the innermost core. Your purpose. Your purpose is what differentiates the motivated from the unmotivated, the achievers from the underachievers, the happy from the unhappy. Your motivational core is your purpose, and it is sustained by two things, having meaning, and forward movement. With these two as a foundation, you will have a power source that will feed you motivational energy indefinitely. Sustaining your core motivation, your purpose. Having meaning is simple. If you want to learn how to find motivation, just ask yourself a question: why? Scroll down to continue reading article. Scroll down to continue reading article. Why are you pursuing a certain goal? If the reason is vague or unclear, then your motivational energy will be the same. While motivation provides you energy to do something, that energy needs to be focused somewhere. So without meaning, there is no direction for your energy to focus. Yet, having a meaningful objective doesn't mean you have to change the world or have a huge impact on society. The secret to meaningful work is simple: it should contribute value to something or someone that matters to you. One study suggested creativity as one possible path to meaning, saying many of the core concepts in work on the meaning of life, such as the needs for coherence, significance, and purpose, or the desire for symbolic immortality, can be reached through creative activity. Next up is gaining forward movement. In short, this means to just keep moving. Like a snowball, motivation from having progress creates momentum. So to keep this up, you have to keep moving. The good news is, your progress doesn't have to be huge for you to recognize it. Small amounts of progress can be just as motivating, as long as they keep coming. Like driving a car, you may be really impatient if you're at a complete halt. But it lessens if you're moving forward, even if you're moving slowly. Creating a simple progress indicator, like checklists or milestones, is a great way to visualize your small and big wins. They trigger your brain to recognize and acknowledge them, giving you small boosts of motivational energy. This is why video games are so addictive. They're full of progress indicators everywhere. Even though the progress is completely virtual, they're still able to trigger the motivation centers in your brain. How to get motivated daily. 1. Find out what drives you today. Why not take some time today and do a quick reflection of where you're at now? Take one aspect of your life that you add like to progress further in. For example, it may be your current job. Start with your why. Write down your reasons for why you are in the job that you're in. Then think about your motivation core, your purpose. Write down what it is within your job that gives you meaning, and what are some things that will help push you forward in life. Once you have those points, it's time to do a comparison. Does your current job help you make progress towards that purpose that you've written? If it does, you're on the right track. If it doesn't, or if you've realized your life isn't going where you want it to, don't panic. There are tools that can help you get through this. Do your best to not focus on the negative. Review your goals and aim yourself in a positive direction, even if it means that you start small. Scroll down to continue reading article. Scroll down to continue reading article 2. Change your approach and don't give up. When something doesn't feel right, it's always a good time to take a moment and look for a different approach if you want to learn how to get motivation. You may be doing everything correctly and efficiently, but such an approach isn't necessarily the most motivating one. Quite often, you can find a number of obvious tweaks to your current approach that will both change your experience and open up new possibilities. That's why saying one way or another is so common. If you really want to accomplish your goal, there is always a way, and most likely, there's more than one way.
Taking the headphones out. It's late now. Anyway, I don't know how you can be motivated, because you can be motivated doing exercise, writing things down, going forward, doing, crash, explode to where you want to go, to bombastic and crazy places you've never been or something. Try something fresh, new, or collaborate or interact or move it to the beat. I don't know how to say it. Okay, go forward. Okay, I'll put the headphones back on. How do I do this? Okay, I'm on a Dios God.
What is the circle of control and how to use it to feeling powerless? I am a staunch believer in the saying, strike a balance. However, I try not to dwell too much on events beyond my control. My gardener taught me that. When I asked him how he knew that the plants would grow well, he replied, I am good at what I do, but I am never sure if the plants would grow well. I can only control how I take care of them, not the outcome. I do my job well and then leave the rest to nature. In a way, he focuses on the circle of control. Can you recall how many hours, days, or years we spend simply focusing on and worrying about things we can't control? Just imagine how thinking like a gardener could bring tremendous positive change in our life. If you want to stop feeling powerless and regain control in your life, then peruse this article with erudite information on how to use the circle of control to your advantage. What is the circle of control? Stephen Covey's book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People inspired this way of thinking where the focus must be on the circle of control. All issues, according to Covey, fall into one of two rings. The circle of concern represents everything that troubles or concerns us. We don't have much influence over these issues. The circle of influence represents everything we can control or affect somehow. Your circle of influence is usually contained inside your circle of concern, leaving you with an area you are concerned about yet unable to alter. The only thing you could control is the effort you put into it, just like my gardener. Where should you focus your energy on? The model helps us identify where we should focus our time and energy. The inner circle is the circle of influence, and the outer circle is the circle of concern. When your circle of influence expands, the circle of concern shrinks, and conversely, when the circle of influence shrinks, the circle of concern expands. Focusing your energy on things you can alter can help you make more effective adjustments. It increases your circle of influence. But when you focus your energy on things beyond your control, the circle of influence shrinks. Reason? It is a waste of time thinking about all the things that you do not have any control over. You focus your time, energy, and mental peace over such things, and you never have enough of these to focus on the positive aspects, such as growth, hope and confidence, etc. You will find that people start avoiding company with people who constantly talk about what's wrong in life. So what should be done? You need to focus your energy on things in your control. Things that you can influence and create an impact. These things demand your attention if you want to live a fulfilling life. Work on what you can and stop worrying about things that are not in your control. Make every minute of your life count. Grab an exclusive book summary on 4,000 weeks for free. Scroll down to continue reading article. People with a high circle of influence are regarded as positive influences. Conversely, people would avoid you when you have a low circle of influence, since you will be considered a negative influence. Scroll down to continue reading article. Scroll down to continue reading article. The circle of concern, influence, and control. Let's dive a little deeper into understanding by studying the three circles: circle of concern, circle of influence, circle of control. Let's begin with what is important to a single person. This is known as the circle of concern. It encompasses all of the big three areas. Circle of concern. The simple graphical representation explains that your circle of concern includes everything external, such as war, politics, pandemics, weather, etc. It depicts everything important to a certain person. This comprises factors that a person may affect and control. The circle of concern will always contain numerous things outside of a person's influence or control by its very nature. For example, most people are concerned about the weather and how it affects their everyday lives, yet they have little control over it. Circle of influence. Since humans are social creatures, an individual's circle of concern may be influenced by others. This is their circle of influence, and it has to do with the quality of their connections and their dialogues with others. The behavior of your team, your company's work culture, your promotion prospects, etc. are all examples of the circle of influence. You may be concerned about the long working hours. Circle of worry. How can you reduce the workload? Falls into the circle of influence. The circle of influence is an excellent tool for effectively directing your time and energy. It has the potential to improve your performance, personal growth, and overall enjoyment in life. Circle of control. A circle of control entails how you respond to these external situations. Your thoughts, your attitude, and your enthusiasm are what form the circle of control. These are the things that you have the power to control. Control refers to what we can directly cause to happen due to our decisions, regardless of whether or not others agree. Our circle of control can only relate to ourselves in this way, and even then, only to our conscious self. What is the reason behind this? Control, as per ontological perspective, is inextricably tied to conscious decision. Control equals awareness plus choice, as the adage goes. As a result, a person can only exercise control over parts of their own way of being that they are aware of. We typically behave without conscious deliberation about how we will act and play out well-worn behavior patterns, since much of what we do is habitual, or what we call transparent in the ontological perspective. Acting in this manner implies that we are acting outside of our immediate control. It's important to remember that.
Okay, what is the circle of control and how to use it to stop feeling powerless? Talk to someone like a doctor, take medication, do more exercise, be creative, like buy something and you have to save the money, you have to go places, get a job or do push-ups or walk down the road more, do more extras, think while your brain is dying down. Anyway, I'm gonna stop that. This is enough for that. I'm gonna go to the next one. Oh, one more, only one more. Wait up, this one, is it? Okay. Whoopala, I've done it. Okay. It's ready, is it? Oh, come on, Hector. Okay, go. Subscribe to Intermix Hector. Subscribe to Intermix Hector. Subscribe to Intermix Hector. Love you long time.
5 graph you need to see before Friday's global carbon budget update. The global carbon budget is about to be refreshed, giving the world a critical insight into how efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions are or are not progressing. With the global concentration of carbon dioxide having exponentially increased in the post-industrial age, reducing human emission of this and other carbon gases like methane is critically important to keeping global warming to the target set out in the Paris Climate Agreement. Those targets aim to keep temperatures below 2 degrees of warming by the midpoint of the century, or ideally, though unlikely, lower than 1.5 degrees. On Friday, the Global Carbon Project will release its latest dataset indicating the levels of carbon gain or decline across a range of variables in 2022. Coinciding with the COP27 climate conference in Egypt, see more COP27 coverage to give you a sense of the trends. Here are 4 graphs from the 2021 release that you need to wrap your head around. This is the big one. This chart shows the increase of carbon dioxide emissions over 3 decades from 1990 to 2021. You can see that line has continued to increase despite occasional dips due to geopolitical, financial or health crises. The biggest such dip occurred during COVID-19, when levels were on par with those at the start of the 2010s. Before promptly darting up again with the post-COVID economic reopening. Get an update of science stories, delivered straight to your inbox. The second chart shows China and the US are the biggest contributors of carbon output by far. China's output continued to rise through the pandemic, while Western economies like those in the US and European Union dipped. The EU's carbon output had been slowly dropping since a 1979 peak, although rose again in 2021. Importantly, India's carbon output in 2021 was on the cusp of overtaking the EU's 27 biggest economies. The third graph puts fossil fuels in context. Coal continues to account for the lion's share of carbon output among fossil fuels, with 2021 projections indicating a strong rebound in its youth. While coal use spiked and remains the most prominent fossil fuel in youth, China's particular reliance on it shadows the substantial use of fuels like gas and oil in the US and EU. China posted a record year of carbon emissions in 2021. The final graph contains glimmers of hope. This force chart shows that in 2020 renewable energy forces continued to grow despite the pandemic and the major forces of carbon decline during. It does not, however, indicate how the global reopening influenced carbon output. We'll find this out on Friday. Clearly, while the world's use of coal, gas and oil for electricity consumption appears to have reduced in recent years, the global use of renewable energy forces is still low, despite the increase of wind and solar power since 2010. At the same time, while fossil carbon emissions dipped in 2020, there was a downward trend reported in carbon output from changes in land use. While modifying land through actions like
Okay, that's a bit. Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's this to say? That I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, my God. So down, head, there.
quantum microscope prototype gives high-resolution imagery. A quantum microscope prototype developed by an Australian team has been shown to create high-resolution maps of different physical quantities. As our knowledge builds of how the quantum world operates, so does our ability to use quantum mechanical principles to develop new and useful technologies. The scientific community is abuzz with excitement over the promise of quantum computers, which will be thousands of times faster and more powerful than classical machines. But quantum technology built on our understanding of matter and energy behavior on the atomic and subatomic level has other uses. One such direction for research into quantum technology is quantum microscopy. These microscopes are predicted to be powerful enough to allow us to see electric currents, detect magnetic field fluctuations, and even observe single molecules on a surface. The quantum microscope developed by Australian researchers is based on atomic impurities referred to as spin sensors because they interact through the quantum phenomenon of spin within the material. Fining a laser on the impurities, they then emit light that directly relates to interesting physical properties like magnetic field, electric field, and the chemistry near the defect. Read more quantum thermometer to measure temperature of time and space based on adaptation of Einstein's relativity. The research, led by Professor Igor Aronovic of the University of Technology Sydney Arts and Drive Jean-Philippe Tétien of Armage University. It published in Nature Physics. Microscopes have certainly come a long way. It's not exactly known who is responsible for the first microscope, but Dutch spectacle maker, Zacharias Janssen is credited with making one of the earliest microscopes which used lenses, around 1600. The earliest microscopes could magnify an object up to 20 or 30 times its normal size. In 1665, Robert Hooke produced the famous Micrographia minus a collection of copper plate illustrations of objects he observed with his own compound microscope. As technology developed, microscopes became better at magnifying the tiny, but they are limited by their reliance on the wavelengths of light used. Objects smaller than a micrometry or millionths of a meter are too close in size to the wavelengths of visible light to be seen in conventional microscopes. Enter the electron microscope. Electrons have wavelengths of around 1/10 billionths of a meter. The best electron microscopes can
Okay, I have to come to this yourself. I have to go, I think. Cosmo. Oopala, what did I do? I went too fast, eh? That was the bobcast. They wanted you to do the bobcast or something? What did I do? Oopala, what's it doing? I can't see. Antibiotic, where was that? Can you drink alcohol? Okay, I like that. I like that. I've seen it somehow. Based, can you, no. How science, no, it wasn't. Can you drink? Oh, they could have some bobcast thing. Look, he's going off, eh? They got a bobcast, so what are they going to?
Which are a large group of antibiotics derived from the mold Acremonium and work in a similar way to penicillins. This is also true for the broad-spectrum class of antibiotics called fluoroquinolones, as well as azithromycin from the class of antibiotics called macrolides, and tetracycline from the class of antibiotics with the same name. I can keep listing out, but I think you get the idea. The available data supports that certain specific antibiotics and more broadly...
Okay, I'm cutting it. You can come. I don't know how. So what I have to do, go out of here. You can come. I'll post 1, 2, 3, 4. So I don't lose them. I'll just press stop now. You can subscribe to Intermix Hector YouTube. Intermix Hector YouTube. Yes, I have to go now. Okay. How do I do this, please? I love you. Okay, bye.